There we
All
go.
right.
It's applause time. Oh, whoops.
Thank
It's
you.
applause. Thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe. Subscribe. And actually, there's a QR code in the top right you can actually click if you're not subscribed, and that'll subscribe yourself to the channel. All right.
And if you subscribe, that's how you're able to talk in the chat. You have to be subscribed.
That's right. That's right. 30 watching. Okay, here we go. Whoa, thank you.
Yeah. I love your intro song, Johnny. The way the bass is just dun 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 dun, dun hitting one note, chugging along.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, that's some dream.
Yeah, that's something I did years and years and years ago, and it just happened to be perfect for this type of thing. So
yeah, it is. It's really good. It's a bass player's dream to just be able to chug along on one open E note all the way through the song.
Yeah. Well, hey, welcome everybody. This is Johnny Beane and Dane Zimmerman of Zim's Guitars. This is Talking Guitars
guys.
and 80s Metal Live. It is November 23rd, 2021, 8:09 p.m. Eastern, 5:09 Pacific, and 6:09 where you are, right?
Yeah, 6 o'clock. We did
Mesa.
not change when the old daylight savings time happened. We are the only place on earth that's pretty much left alone.
Mm-hmm. So your clock is always the same.
Yep, never changed the clock.
Never a change.
Until the battery runs out, and then
always a tick.
Yeah.
Man. Well, hey, welcome you guys. And yeah, if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And to make it easier for you guys, right above Dane, there is a QR code. You just hold your phone over that code, open up the camera on your phone. That'll automatically take you to the YouTube. Let me know if you're not subscribed, if it subscribes you automatically. Either way, that's an easier way for you guys to subscribe to the channel. So we're live here on YouTube, Johnny Beane TV YouTube channel, where we have channel members. And the top tier of channel membership are the executive producers, which are Dave Ennis, Vinyl Freak 5150, Mike Neese, Music Therapy Laz, Majestic PB and J Cat, Wayno, False Flag, Andy Carson, Michael B, R Habs, The Chad, Lenny Lou and Mary, James Gum, John Moronic, Stephen Franklin, Michael Smith, the Captain, Thomas Santiago, Joe Christian, Jimmy Ray Hawkins, and Steve Carmichael.
Executive producers.
Yes, that's the top tier of channel membership here on Johnny Beane TV, here on YouTube. If you'd like to become a channel member, click that join button right below the 32 thumbs ups. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And if you'd like to help support the channel here on YouTube, any super chats will change the color of my lights. So if you look right here, you got the Guitar Noir. Any super chats will automatically change those lights in real time. So if you'd like to be a part of the show and help contribute, there you go. That's a way to help out. And we're also live on Facebook, Johnny Beane TV Facebook page, where we have Facebook Stars, which is a digital gift that helps in the production of these shows. We're also live all over Facebook in the Van Halen 1974 to Forever Facebook group, where we have just under 63,000 members. We're live in the EVH Gear Live group, EVH Gear Live page, Johnny Beane TV page, my personal profile, and Twitter at Johnny Beane. So we're live all over the place. And let's see, this is also a podcast. That's very important to mention because podcasts are really they're kind of a thing now. Like people are actually getting into them. So anyway, you can ask Siri to play the Johnny Beane podcast on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts. We're also live on Facebook in the Johnny Beane TV Facebook page as well. Well, there's a podcast there. There we go. Podcast. That's right. So as you can see, currently you got myself, you got Zims who just split. So Neander Paul should be here at some point. John Mancuda is filming a movie. So he's actually on set right now, and if we're lucky, we'll get to see him probably I don't know, filming something or who knows. But we're gonna have a great show tonight, and let me just say hello to everybody that's in here. We got a lot of people. We got 73 people watching. We got Dwight Bailey. We got Magic Man, All Dave, All Night, Black Salami, John Bulware, Christopher Live Sawa, Keith Campbell, Janice Lala, Mike Neese, Alice Martinez. That's right. Nah, he messaged me earlier, so it's all good. Music Therapy Laz is here, who might be getting one of those Fender acoustic sonic strats. Huh? You might be getting one of those tonight? Right on, man. If you do, send us a photo, man. Very cool, dude. We got let's see, a lot of people in here. Mega Todd 707 is here. Nightbot, of course, which is me. My helper. And hey, watch some footage from EVH Con from a couple weeks ago. It was a great time. Let's see. Dan of New Jersey is here. Andy Carson. I'm scrolling up. Steve Carmichael, of course. And if you notice in the chat here on Facebook, you see some of the names are in green. There's special emojis next to some of those names. Those are channel members. So if you'd like access to that stuff, give it a try. Try it out. Click the join button right below the 40 thumbs ups. Thank you so much, you guys. And actually, if you're not ready to where are we? Well, that's all capitals. If you're not ready to become a channel member, you can actually help support. You can buy me a coffee. It's kind of like a Patreon type of thing. So there you go. Man, we got Sharon Wilddollar here from Facebook. Hey, welcome, Sharon. Dane. Hey, man.
Yeah, I got a couple customers in real quick.
Cool. selling guitars?
Yeah, buying and selling and trading.
Uh-huh.
It's tons of fun. I'll be honest with you guys. I love my work when people, buy, sell, and trade. It's always a fun day.
Mm-hmm.
You never know what you're going to get. You remember the old Pawn Stars expression, right?
Right.
You never know what's going to walk in the door. And it's true.
That's right. I used to work at a guitar store, and it was every day was, I mean, it's the same, but different, because you get different, you get a lot of the same people that come in. You have regulars and stuff, but then you get different people, and being in the Bay Area where I am, where that shop was, you get the local, Bay Area rock stars that would come in, like anytime, like Green Day would come in, they would buy, I would sell them guitars.
Right.
Ry Cooder, actually, if you know who he is, he came in.
I remember looking at the old record albums that he put out back in probably the 70s.
He's actually the guy that did the soundtrack. He's actually, let me get John Biel. Is John Biel here? I want to say Ry Cooder was actually the one that played the guitar for Ralph Macchio for Crossroads.
Oh,
I
wow.
want to say that was Ry Cooder,
Yeah.
actually. Jackson Brown came in one time. I said hello to him. You know,
Cool.
just a number of people. Andrew Carson, thank you so much, man. Thank you.
Jackson Brown he's a great singer, a great writer.
Yeah.
Did a lot of really cool songs.
A lot of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. I think.
Thank you for coming in.
Did they buy anything?
Okay, and now I'm going to go lock the front door.
Enough sales for today.
Yeah.
Do people ever just line up outside like in the morning? Other people do you ever get there and there's just like a line of people waiting to get in?
Not very often.
Do you ever have just a line of people trying to get out like at 6 o'clock?
Yeah, I close at 6, but my signs are all still staying open and everything. I had the front of my store all painted today. There's this guy that showed up. And he's like, hey, man, you want Christmas stuff painted in your windows? And I'm like, what? And he goes, and he showed me his portfolio. And he paints like Santa Claus holding a guitar. And he actually had in his portfolio Santa Claus holding a guitar.
Uh-huh. Oh, and you took a photo?
No. Yeah, so I took some photos of the front of my store.
Oh, let's see.
And so here's kind of one of the things that he painted on there today.
Oh, cool.
It takes up the whole front window.
He's doing the Eddie jump too.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Pretty nice, huh? And then we've got, this is around my front door.
Oh,
and
awesome.
Then this is over in the other window.
Wow, those
Pretty
are really
festive, right?
That's really good art. Those are really
and
good
here's
drawings.
a little cactus that's everybody's playing a guitar. And I'm like, okay.
Well, it is a guitar store.
And then one more. He did a Christmas tree playing a guitar. And he charged me $80 to do that. And he's probably spent 2 hours or at least 2 hours out front painting. So it's pretty cool. I was happy to get it done.
That's
and
cool.
I said, well, for that $80, will you come back in January and scrape it all off? And he goes, give me a call and I'll charge you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It looks pretty good. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of something fun to do.
Uh-huh. So
I've sold a couple of Christmas presents so far. I sold a Fender G-DAC little practice amplifier with its foot pedal. And some kid, it'll make a great Christmas present for some kid.
Nice. Very cool. And hey, I did get your text. Where are you? Is it Magic Man? Magic Man got a new guitar. Let's check this out. Let's see. Where is it? All right, here we go. Oh, cool. Magic Man here. Here you go. Brand new guitar right there. There we go.
Oh, it's a Kiesel.
Yeah, I don't know if I should say that.
Nice.
Magic Man, I don't even know the history of around here. Some people around here, they're not too
I
fond
love
of
Kiesel
brand,
guitars.
I myself, I have no problem with them because they
shred.
There's the back of it.
They look great. They got beautiful finishes. The Jeff Kiesel, you know, some people don't like him so much.
Yeah.
He can maybe get on your nerves a little bit, or he's a little demanding or whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey now, hey Kurt. Kurt 5150 is in here. Good to see. Well, hey, you know, like I said, I personally have no problem. They didn't do anything to me personally, so. But they weren't so nice to some of our friends. Let's just say that.
But
So
we also trust J7/8, and if he gives us advice about a guitar company that he's not happy with, then as friends, we're gonna listen to what he says.
Yes.
And say, okay, man, we'll keep that in mind next time we're calling Kiesel to order a brand new, you know, whatever they've got over there.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever 13-string
If you
guitar.
can find one used. I had one here a couple of months ago. And it walked in and it was a lefty. And I'm like, oh, and I bought it from the guy and probably paid, I don't know, $575 or something. It was $1,300 brand new, you know.
Uh-huh.
They built it to his specs, but it was a lefty.
So it's custom.
Yeah,
Totally.
they all are, I think.
Like one, yeah, a lot of them. They're like one of a kind,
right?
Personal,
so
personal pan.
And very rarely do I tell somebody I don't want to buy your guitar. I'll do almost any kind of a trade if somebody's willing to do it, or I'll buy if I can get the price anywhere around the 60% of used value, you know, 70% maybe, or even higher if it's a real nice piece. But that Kiesel was definitely a reverb item because I don't get that many lefties in here except my buddy Neil that helps me do videos all the time. He's a lefty. But he already has 30 guitars at home. So that one went on reverb.
And did it sell?
It sold, yeah, it sold in a week or so. And I made a little profit on it, a couple $100, but I missed out on any possible trade-in that somebody might get. That's what I dislike about selling things on reverb is I feel like I'm just, you know, sure, you're going to make your $85.13 or whatever. But you miss out on trades. I love trades.
Yeah, I mean, having like a local guitar, you know, store like that, the trades. I mean, that's the. I'm sure you have people that come in like once a week, and they're always looking for either certain things or like if you get new stuff throughout that week, they're excited to see, oh, you got this and this. Like there's always maybe something like inventory kind of changes a little bit, I would say.
It does. Yeah. There's some items that have been in that I've owned for probably like 2 years now. And like an Epiphone Coronet. I have an Epiphone Coronet that I've had for a couple of years. And a couple of those Dane Electros. I've had a couple of those for a while now.
The newer ones.
And I still have that Washburn Nuno N61 that I showed you guys like a year ago. I still have that Nuno N61.
Where is it?
Which is the imported. Yeah. It's the imported Nuno. It's not the N4.
And you've had that for a few years? A couple of years? 5 years?
Yeah, probably it's been 2 years now. I've been at my shop, my new location for 6 months now, and I probably had it a year or so at the old shop.
Well, one day Nuno himself will be on tour and he'll be like, I gotta play one of my guitars. Do you have
I need to get an N61 for this next tour.
You'll have it. It'll be right there. He'll play it. He'll come back. He'll sign it. And then it'll always be there.
He'll watch that Johnny Beane episode from about a year ago where I was showing you guys that N61. Wow, there's where I can get one. And he'll call you. And then you'll be like, oh, that's at Zim's over in Phoenix. And then he'll be like, I'll be in Phoenix next week.
Yes. But yeah, so getting back to your this is wow, finally we're talking this technically this is a guitar show and we're finally talking about guitars on here. I would say as far as like the left-handed stuff.
I miss talking about vagina though. John Mancuda is not here today because he's super busy doing his movie.
Yes.
But he might come in, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah. Yeah. But hey, if you want to be the Mancuda of the night, I mean you already just dropped the V bomb.
I said the V word.
Go ahead. Well, also you said Kiesel. So I think that's where you started.
I said Kiesel. I said
that's where you started us off.
I said the V word.
I don't know which one's worse.
Nobody can step in for John Mancuda and do justice to that role.
Mm-hmm.
It just can't happen. He's funny. Is he a bit annoying sometimes? Yes. But overall, he's hilarious. The Halloween show.
Oh, Halloween shows
cracking up. That was the last time. I'm not one of those kind of guys that just laughs out loud all the time.
Mm-hmm.
For some strange reason, I'm not an out loud laugher. When I laugh, it's like, I'm one of those inside laughers. But he was cracking up when John Biel had the keyboard out and he was hitting the C note. So everything we said was in the key of C.
Yep.
That was killing me.
Yep. Yeah. If you guys missed it, check out the Halloween show. And actually, if you guys won a Halloween prize, we're trying to get them to you. Some of you guys have like vanished, so we can't find you. But I think most of them we've actually sent out. But please contact me if you were a Halloween winner and you're just kind of wondering what happened. And
there's a really cool Kiesel on Reverb right now, Lefty. A Carvin.
Is it yours?
No, mine's all gone. But Carvin, it rebranded into Kiesel.
Right.
And I think since that's happened, the Carvin guitars, they're famous for being not holding their value good. The old Carvins, even though they had cool, thin, fast necks, they were known for not holding on to their retail value. But I think now that Kiesel's making a big splash, I think that's going to help out the old Kiesels. Or I mean, the Carvin guitars are starting to come up in price.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Let's go to this. Here is a Dane. This is your life, man. Remember a few hours ago? Remember you saw somebody a few hours ago?
I remember a few hours ago. I was in the back room watching the news.
Okay. Well, a few hours ago, you saw somebody, and they are here again today to say hi to you. So everybody, please welcome Neander Paul.
Hi.
Where's the applause?
Hi.
Paul, how you doing, buddy?
Well, it's been so long since we've spoken. I'm good.
It's good to catch up every now and again.
Yeah, well, it's important. Did you sell anything from the time I left?
No, I hadn't, but I did make one trade, and you guys are going to laugh at what I got. You want to see what I just did?
Huh? Yeah.
This is what I just got in trade.
And we're going to laugh at that? Oh, okay.
Yeah, start laughing.
No, dude, those are awesome.
It's pretty beat up.
Well, I told the guy, look, bro, it needs a neck reset.
Oh my gosh, look at
that.
Top
is cracked too. The top is cracked underneath that neck.
What will you give me for it? And I said, how about a pack of strings? And he goes, okay.
Yeah, the top is cracked. You're gonna have to when you do that neck reset, the whole top of the guitar is cracked. Where the neck meets the joint.
Yeah, I might do that. That's kind of fun. if you practice doing neck resets on a guitar that you have a $3 in for a pack of strings, you can see it's got a lot of glue and everything on there. Somebody's tried to glue it back together and everything. I'll just cut that off of there.
Wow, look at that action.
Yeah, this thing's a player.
Is that a slide guitar?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just make it a lap steel.
Was it Ry Cooter that came in and traded you that?
Hey,
It's actually
call
in
me
tune.
Willie, blind dog Fulton, Smokehouse Brown. Call me Willie, the one and only Willie Brown.
Okay, me and Paul's got a song for you guys. We're gonna get demonetized right now.
No, we're not. Nope, we're not gonna get demonetized because it doesn't sound anything like the right song. Nope.
Wow.
That thing rocks.
No, it really doesn't.
But you
That's
know what
some-
it does? It gives me a little tiny bit of YouTube content where I do a video of me pulling the neck off of that thing and trying to fix it. I did a refret a week or two ago, and it turned out great. So my confidence at doing some repairs, it's getting better.
Did you guys just see Ace just come in and just go, "Here's my ass"? He just comes in. He's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, buddy. Hey, daddy. Here's my ass." He's a
Ace
good
is the
boy.
place.
He's a good boy. He's a pain in the ass. Good boy.
Oh. We love our animals.
Yep.
I've got Ned. Laz has Maximus.
There's nothing like having a couple dogs and cats. Cats are awesome. I like cats too. It's funny.
I hate cats.
Nah, cats are awesome. You can train cats. Cats are very social. It takes a lot more time, but once you get a cat that's cool cats are fucking awesome.
Yeah. Well,
I had a cat that actually taught me to have him chase milk rings. I was sitting on a chair and cat jumps up on the arm of the chair with a milk ring in its mouth. And I guess it was got underneath the table or underneath the fridge or whatever, but it came up one of those little red milk rings from a gallon of milk and had the milk ring in its mouth. And I'm like, all right, well, cat's sort of playing with it. And cat just goes and spit it in front of me and looked at me. I'm like, what, you want me to clean that up for you? I'm sorry, what the fuck you want me to do with that? So I just took my finger and flicked it off the arm of the chair. Cat jumps off the chair, runs, grabs it, brings it back, and drops it in front of me. I go, are we playing fetch?
yeah.
No, it's true.
Cats will do that.
There's some great cats out there.
Cats will do that. And your cat would kill you if it could.
Ned Halen.
We got Ned. He's awesome, man.
He would eat you if you died in your sleep, just so you know.
He's scratching. There he goes.
They do.
My big problem with cats is my girlfriend that lives with me has a cat. Well, she's deadly afraid of the cat getting out of the house or running away or whatever. So the cat lives in the bedroom with us. So, you go and you sit in the toilet, you sit on the toilet in the middle of the night to take a leak.
Like you sit to pee?
In the middle of the night, yes, I do. When it's 3 o'clock in the morning,
we just learned.
I sit on the toilet and I have to go like this because the cat box is right next to my toilet and in my bedroom, and I'm like, oh god, man. This sucks.
Yeah, you got to
clean the cat box.
You got to clean that cat box every day, man.
Yeah,
that thing
can be a nightmare. I have I have probably anywhere from 10 to 20 cats living in my neighborhood. My next door neighbor has a desert tortoise in the yard and reptiles and stuff. And his mother, who is recovering, or at least is in treatment for like stage 4. I mean, she's going through some shit. So she feeds the cats. That's like something that gives her joy. So she comes over and puts down these little plastic bowls, like the little plastic throwaway bowls, and fills them all. And like the cats line up and stuff. So I'll come home from work or whatever in the morning, and there'll be a dozen cats sitting in the driveway next to me, all looking up like, hey man, what's up? And I back in and they hide. I have a dry riverbed in my front yard. It's, you know, desert landscaping, dry riverbed landscaping in my front yard. And they sit in there and they hide in there like they're somehow stalking the neighborhood or whatever it is. So I put out a couple of bowls of water and food for them and stuff. So now between me and about 3 other neighbors on the block, we've got 24 feral cats, which is awesome because they keep the roof rats and scorpions and reptiles away.
Yeah.
You know, they'll kill snakes and they'll kill scorpions and they'll kill any sort of, you know, roof rats are a big deal here in Arizona for people that don't know that, because we have citrus trees and shit, orange and lemon trees, and rats love that.
Are they the ones with the white chest?
No, I don't know that they have white chest.
What are those?
I don't know.
We have the ones with the,
but we have rats here.
Yeah, we have the ones with the white chests here. Ned is always bringing them in the house. You've seen it.
Yeah, they have
all the time.
The rat that I had in my house a couple of years ago was easily the size of a small cat. I mean, it was a big animal. It looked a little cleaner than a feral rat should. So I'm wondering if it was food for one of the reptiles next door that got out.
Oh my God. Oh.
You know what I mean? Because the guy next door, he's got like dragons. Like he's got big lizards. They're not, these are
dragons.
These are not
Puff?
like kind of, these are not like little lizards that you put on your shoulder. These are like 4 foot, 5 foot lizards that he has in his backyard, like monitors and shit. And a huge ass desert tortoise. And it's like Wild Kingdom over there.
That's a weird hobby to get into, but
it's his thing, man.
It's kind of interesting a little bit, I guess. Some guys.
His thing. And he's a nice guy. I mean, he's you know, and he's up all night. So like if I get up at 2 a.m. to let the dogs out, or maybe 11, like after we do Saturday Night Live and the show's over like midnight or something, I'll go out back and I'll see the light on next door and I'll hear the hose running and he's watering his tortoise and shit. So it's good because our neighborhood is 24 hours so that when people start getting out of line at 2 a.m, everybody's aware of it. There's not a whole lot of crime in this neighborhood.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's the last thing.
I had a desert tortoise for a while a few years ago.
Thank you, Fossil.
One of them big giant ones. And
what'd you do with it?
It's in the middle of winter time and we're in Arizona, so it probably only gets, you know, it can maybe get to freezing, 30 degrees, 32 degrees. But I was starting to worry about that tortoise out there. I'm like, man, it's probably cold out there. But then after a while, you start to think, no, wait a minute. That's a cold-blooded critter out there. It doesn't have to have a body temperature of 90.
It's going to outlive you, Dane.
Yeah. I did learn something in science
is going to live
class.
like 100 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's probably already like 90 years old.
Yeah, you know, yeah,
Right.
it's hard to have any idea how old they are. 2 things that outlive you. Like my buddy has a parrot, and he's in his 60s, and I think he's only had the parrot for like 15, 20 years. So he's going to die, and he had to will that parrot to somebody to take care of it because parrots live to be like, I don't know, 80, 90 years old. So weird.
Man.
Or those cute little horses. Those cute little horses that are only like 3 feet tall.
Ah, ponies. Welcome to Talking Guitars and 80s Metal and
Animals.
Pets.
Well, we get to, you know, Dane actually mentioned to me earlier today that he wanted to talk about 80s metal because he couldn't talk about anything else. And yet he can.
Welcome to Talking Guitars and 80-year-old pets.
And 80-year-old reptiles.
Tortoises.
Speaking of Dane.
Oh, ta-da.
So, you know, Paul, what's kind of cool right now is Tesla is out playing and doing shows.
Well, they have to. No, I mean they have to. It's the business of music. Those bands have all been shut down for the better part of a year, and you can't go a year without income, man. You got to get out and you got to play. The reason why Troy has decided not to join them on this tour is because he isn't vaccinated and doesn't want to do follow the parameters and protocols of what some of the vaccine.
Who's
Troy's
Troy?
the drummer. And he doesn't want to go out and adhere to the protocols, and that's his personal choice, and he's welcome to it. And so
he's a great drummer. I've seen him.
That's horrible, dude. Did you read that?
Yep. Let it go.
I've seen him at the Hollywood Alley, which is just this little bar that was right down the street from us.
Well, he
it's
used to
been
live
probably
here.
15 years ago, but he's a local guy, right?
Yeah, he used to live here. I don't know if he still does, but yeah. So yeah, the Tesla guys they're gonna be off the road for the holidays. Everybody shuts down.
Except the cars. Those will be on the road.
Everybody shuts down. Shuts down literally last Friday. They shut down, and then they'll go back out on the road after the first of the year. All bands do that.
What's the lead singer's name in Tesla?
Jeff Keith.
Jeff?
Yep.
Now,
Yep, Jeff
is he, as far as you know, is he having any vocal problems? Because he's one of those kind of singers that really, he ripped it up back in the day. And I slightly remember hearing stories of vocal problems from him. Even
He has. I mean,
Yeah.
every singer has vocal problems. I mean, that's the reality of being a singer. Your voice gets tired, your muscles get tired, they dry out, depending on the fatigue and age and all the things that come with it. You lose elasticity in your muscle. You got to work that out all the time.
Glug, lug, sniff, sniff, puff,
Well,
puff.
Sometimes, yeah, depending on who it is.
some of those singers just have that natural voice where they don't have to push it.
Jeff has a unique voice, but he can strain it. He sounds great now. What bands do in a situation like that is they'll drop down a step, or in Sammy Hagar's 2 steps.
Sammy.
Whatever it is to make it sound in key. But Jeff sounds good now. He hasn't always sounded good. He had some tough times.
Right.
That's why bands don't play when you get older. That's why bands don't play 2 nights in a row. That's why you won't see the Stones or Aerosmith or the Who or any of those bands play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, stuff like that. It's usually 1 on, 2 off, depending on who the band is. And that's to give the singer some rest. Guitars don't get tired. Amps don't get tired, but vocals do. And let's face it, if a singer has an off night, everybody knows it. If a guitar player has an off night, it's a bum note here and there. But if the singer sucks, everybody knows it, and it ends up on the internet. Right, Vince Neil?
I remember
right,
a story. There's a local guy here in Phoenix named Michael Nitro.
Yep.
And he did a lot of shows opening for a ton of bands through Evening Star Productions. And I was talking to him probably 5-6 years ago or 7 years ago or something. I said, Michael, was there ever a show where you guys just crushed it, and for some reason you guys were the best band on the night opening for one of these big bands? And he goes, yes. One time at the Celebrity Theater, we opened for Tesla. And right in the very first song, we did a great show. The audience was super into it. Tesla hit the stage. After one song, the lead singer was like, dude, I'm sorry, I'm sick. I can't sing tonight, or whatever it was. And they pretty much left the stage, I think. And
yeah, but that's not a
story
case.
I heard.
That's not a case of them being the best band of the night. That's the case of them being the only band of the night.
They got lucky. Yeah.
No, that's not. There's a difference between. Let's be honest, and with all due respect to Michael Nitro, Tesla have sold over 20 million records. Michael Nitro is still a local celebrity.
Right.
So let's not talk. If Michael Nitro were as talented as Michael Nitro believes Michael Nitro is,
who's Michael Nitro?
Exactly. It's a great question.
He's a local guy, but yeah. But there was one night where Michael was playing at Alice Cooperstown, and Sammy Hagar happened to be there. And you guys can probably find this on YouTube if anybody's interested at all. But Sammy Hagar was actually in the audience, and even Alice Cooper was there. And both those guys came up and jammed with the Michael Nitro band. So,
which is cool.
His claim to fame right there. Got Alice and Sammy Hagar on stage.
That sounds familiar, actually.
You might have seen
Maybe I saw something about that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no,
he plays guitar, right?
He does. He's an old school guitar player that plays. He's borderline a blues artist. He plays his Les Paul through a bunch of Marshalls, and yeah.
He's a local celebrity. He's one of those guys that has been around here in Phoenix for a long time. Does well. Everybody knows who he is, but he never had. For every Troy Luccketta there is out there that goes out and sells 20 million records with Tesla, there are 200 Michael Nitros in every city in America.
Right.
And that just happens, and good for him. But it's interesting. A lot of people are talking about singers in the chat. And as somebody that actually had to retrain my voice, I can tell you, when you start out as a falsetto singer, it's great for a while. You have this amazing range. You hit these incredible high notes. And it goes well. Yeah, when I was fat, I looked more like Michael Nitro. When you hit these amazing notes when you're a falsetto singer when you're young, and then you realize that falsetto actually ends up scarring your vocal cords. You end up losing the top end of your range, and you have to completely retrain your voice. And just about everybody that sings like that has had to do that. Brian Johnson had to retrain his voice. Tom Kiefer had to retrain his voice. Ian Gillan, Axl Rose, Steven Tyler.
Brian Johnson's always, I can't imagine him, like, I would think he would always sound like that no matter what, because he has that kind of voice.
Listen to the Geordie stuff. When he was singing with Geordie, he wasn't singing that high. Like when you listen to stuff like Shoot to Thrill and the notes he's hitting at the end of Shoot to Thrill, those are really up there notes. Those are unnatural notes for a guy whose natural singing and speaking voice is not that high. And you get those, and by the way, falsetto is great if you can control it. Certain guys were able to control it. Freddie Mercury would incorporate it sparingly. He already had an amazing range, but every once in a while you'll get that little, it's almost like a bird tweet in his voice, a little flutter in his voice. Doo-wop singers would do it. If it's used sparingly, it's great. If it's if you're hitting these notes like Millie and Steelheart, those are high notes, man, and those will fuck up your vocal cords. Your vocal cords, when you sing, vibrate. And when you do that falsetto and you have this unnatural, you're also stretching them and vibrating, and you end up with scar tissue, and you get these channels in your voice, and you'll get semitones above what you're trying to hit, and that's called vocal cording, and it's not good for you. And the more scar tissue you build up, the less elasticity you have in your vocal cords, and they won't open. Your vocal cords are supposed to open like, this is from Mrs. Mancuda, your vagina.
Well, Zim, that's the second one we've dropped tonight.
We said vagina twice now.
Right. So,
Three
but
times.
when you have that scar tissue, the vocal cords still open up, but the scar tissue fills that gap, and now you've lost range. And it's not good for you in the long run. That's why Axl Rose sounds like shit these days.
The one guy that was able to have a great career and not ever have any vocal problems, voice problems, our good friend Gene Simmons.
Gene Simmons has a sneaky good voice. If you go back and listen to all of the Kiss stuff, Gene Simmons is never out of key, ever. Yeah. His voice is unique. He's got multiple voices. His head voice, his growl voice, his soft voice. He has a sneaky good voice. It's unique. There's only one other guy that sounded like Gene Simmons, and that is the lead singer for the band Axe, who did the Knockdown, Drag Out, Rock and Roll Party in the Street song, which sounded like Gene Simmons back in the day. He has a very, very unique voice, and it's, look, we've talked about this before. As much as we make fun of Kiss, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons are very underrated, both as songwriters and as singers. They're not great musicians as far as on their instrument. Paul Stanley's not a great guitar player. Gene Simmons is not a great bass player. He's serviceable. He does a good job for what he does. Songwriting and vocals, they are above average, one of the best in American rock history, but they don't get credit.
Yeah, there's that thing that if you become a lead singer and for some strange reason, you're not going to push your voice, you're not going to try to be a high falsetto scratch, you're just going to sing in your natural God-given voice, and you can make a career out of that. Those are the guys that still have their voice now 40 years later.
Some of them. I mean, you listen to guys like Gary Cherone. Gary Cherone has a phenomenal voice, does very well with it. Paul Rodgers has never lost his voice. But here's a great example of a guy who sang falsetto and belted it out for a good period of time. Early in his career, was one of the most exciting and electric rock singers in the game, and then lost his voice and had to completely change the way he sings, and that's Rod Stewart. Rod Stewart, when he was in Faces and in the Jeff Beck band, was a phenomenal singer. But the way he sung was that scratchy, you know, belted out voice.
Yeah,
And
he
then,
sounded like he had a sore throat. He sounded
would
raspy.
he would belt it out, and then you know that only has a certain, you only get so far with that, and then the lifespan of your voice starts to die out. And Rod Stewart was one of those guys.
I have seen recent video of Rod Stewart out on the road recently, and he's got like 4 or 5 really hot female background singers dancing around, kicking soccer balls around. Rod still standing center stage, doing little sexy moves and showing the audience his butt and, you know, doing this kind of thing.
Yeah. Sounds wonderful.
And Steven Tyler is an interesting thing. On a good night, he has it better than he's ever had. On a bad night, it's pretty clear that it's a bad night. But Steven Tyler still brings it. Keep in mind, he's 70 and singing, you know, back in the saddle and hitting those notes at 70. And not many guys can do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Devin Townsend is an interesting solo. And there's another guy who I know, I'm friends with, who has one of those voices that sounds like you gargle with rock salt. And he's still able to make it work for well over 30 years now. And that's Jesse Dupree. Jesse is
Jackal.
One of those guys. Yeah. He sounds like he sounds like a kind of a Brian Johnson, Bon Scott. And he's a screamer and he sings incorrectly, all kinds of stuff, but he's actually been used as a case study by vocal therapists for how it's possible for you to continue to beat the shit out of your voice the way he does and still have it work. Now, that said, it's not what it was 30 years ago, but it's like 85% of what it was 30 years ago. And that's pretty impressive given the amount of shows that those guys do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and, you know, Eduardo Marino Porto, the greatest voice I ever heard, outside of metal, rock, whatever it is, my favorite vocalist ever in the history of singing is Nat King Cole. You want to hear a voice? That's beauty. That's velvet. That's magical, that voice. You know,
Mm-hmm.
Tony Bennett does have a great voice though. Absolutely. Kai Matthews wants to know why Yngwie isn't that big, because Yngwie's an asshole. That's why. A guy that talented with that kind of skill should be a household name. He has a household name, but for all the wrong reasons. Yngwie.
Oh yeah.
For guitar players.
Yeah, he
I've
should be
heard
a
of that.
household.
For
Most people don't know who he is.
metal guitar players, he is known. Outside of that, no.
Brad Delp had a great voice as well, although he did experience some vocal problems, and that was one of the bones of contention that led to his deciding to leave. My lawyer back in Boston was also Barry Goudreau's lawyer, and there was some problems, internal tensions with Boston that, you know, one of the things that Brad was very unhappy about was that Fran Cosmo, who was a guy that sang for Orion the Hunter, who also had a very high voice, very similar to Brad, was being considered. They were going to do dual vocals things, kind of like, you know, Coverdale and Glenn Hughes in Deep Purple. And Brad was angry that Tom Schultz wanted to have Fran Cosmo sing all the high parts when Brad felt he could still do it. And Tom Schultz didn't believe Brad could do it. And that was some of the contention, the things that made Brad very unhappy and make a very sad decision.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Brad was a great singer.
Oh yeah.
I sang with him on stage. It was great. He had a cover band called Beetlejuice. It was all Beatles. And
Beatles
they played
songs?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, it was like a cover band. Like Gary Sharon has a Who cover band called Slip Kid.
Right.
But Barry's was Beetlejuice, and they played when I worked for WAAF in Boston the first time in the 90s. They played our Christmas party. So we all got on stage, you know, different jocks got on stage and did different songs. And I did Norwegian Wood with Brad Delp, and it was fucking awesome to be able to stand on stage next to, I mean, even though it's a private function, you're still singing with the lead vocalist from, at the time, a band who had the greatest debut album in the history of rock.
Uh-huh.
So that was kind of neat.
That's, yeah. Not everybody can say that, man.
Yeah,
That's
it was.
awesome.
I mean, that was pretty awesome. I mean, I've known Michael Nitro, but you know who is?
Hey man,
I don't even
come
know
on
who he
now.
is.
He's opened for a lot of great bands.
Sure.
He supported the Phoenix music scene his whole life. He is a professional musician.
Yep.
He doesn't work at Domino's. He doesn't deliver pizza or anything in his spare time.
Hint,
He's
hint. And also his name rhymes with Michael Knight from Knight Rider. So, you know,
So he's got that going for him,
that's pretty cool.
which is nice. Bozique, you know, the interesting thing about Black Country Communion is you hit it right on the head. It was viewed as a side project.
BRB.
And it's not a side project. It should have been considered a band, except that all of the guys in that band had other commitments. Joe Bonamassa makes so much money touring on his own because he's a self-contained unit. He's his own promoter. He's his own manager. He handles all of his own ticket sales and all that stuff. And he goes out and he does these solo shows and makes a shitload of money. Glenn Hughes needed that band more than Joe Bonamassa did. Derek Sherinian can do whatever the hell he wants. He can play for anybody. And Jason Bonham's in 4 other bands. At the time when Black Country Communion came out, it was in 4 other bands. I love the records. I have them all. I think it was a great project, but it was never going to be a long-term thing, and it was never going to be the thing that made Glenn Hughes, you know, a household name. Those guys are all in their 60s and 70s, except for Bonamassa. And I think Jason is my age. Jason's probably mid 50s, early to mid 50s. But it's cool.
What about Geddy Lee's voice? The voice of Rush.
He started to sound like he howled near the end.
Yeah, he tried to, he sort of reinvented his singing style. He still tried to sing high, but it wasn't that same sort of high voice that he used to have.
No, he again, there's the falsetto, an example of the falsetto thing.
Right.
No, Jason's not younger than me, Keith Campbell. There's no way. No way is Jason Bonham younger than me. That would be a Hollywood biography, you know, that they shave a couple of years off his age to make him seem. There's no way Jason Bonham's younger than me.
When was the last time you listened to any of that Rush stuff, like the 2112 album?
I listen to Rush all the time. It was ahead of its time. It was ahead of its time.
Mm.
So, you know,
any news on Rush doing anything? Any of those guys?
Done.
Are they?
There is no
100% retired.
There is no Rush. If Geddy and Alex make music again, it will be under a different band name.
Mm-hmm. Any word on any of those 2 guys doing anything?
Well, Alex has some solo stuff out already. He's already done a couple of solo songs.
Oh.
Yeah, he's got some stuff. If you look for Alex Lifeson, there's a couple of MP3s out there that, you know, he's released. Yeah, Mikey, I would say Bonham is probably 55. He's somewhere around my age, a couple years older.
Vista Light is asking about Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl is interesting. It's funny you say that. I watched the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction ceremony last weekend. I would not say I am a Foo Fighters fan. I don't, it's just not my thing. Having met Dave several times over the years, there isn't a nicer guy in rock. He's a super nice guy, super real. Like, for a guy that is a 2-time inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, he's as regular can be. He was just hanging out at that Velvet Revolver show that I was at. That was their first show in 2004. Just hanging out front. We were just shooting the shit. It was like he was just Dave Grohl. He wasn't Dave Grohl, drummer of Nirvana, guitar player, Foo Fighters, this stuff. Just a super nice guy. He's another guy who belts out his voice. But when he wants to write a great song, Jesus, Times Like These is just as good as it gets. That's as good a song as can be written. I don't like everything Foo Fighters does, but there are some songs that Foo Fighters does that are absolutely unassailable. And you've got to figure, if Paul McCartney is putting his stamp on you, you're pretty good. And he and
What's
Paul
your
McCartney
thoughts
are total
on
friends.
the Foo Fighters constantly letting guest performers children, people they've never met before, up on stage to every show. They're letting somebody on stage with them.
I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I think they're having fun.
Yep.
Yeah, and just imagine if when we were kids, if our
Yeah.
favorite band at the time let us up. So, are you guys talking about Grammys now? Then is that the
We are Grammys.
Why?
Okay, yeah, because this is exactly we were gonna mention about Wolfgang getting the best rock song Grammy nomination for Distance, which is
What are the other ones on there?
they're who you're talking about, Foo Fighters and Paul McCartney.
So all my favorite songs.
Yeah, that's Weezer.
Weezer.
So for
The
best
Bandit?
rock song, you got
Uh-huh.
Weezer, you got Kings of Leon, you got Mammoth WVH, Paul McCartney, and Foo Fighters.
Well,
I thought Kings of Leon was done like 20 years ago now.
Unfortunately, that's a band that I think they're a cool band, but they're also critical darlings. So it would be surprising to see Wolfgang win that. But I would hope it'd be great. I think it's a great song. I don't know that if it's Grammy winning a Grammy award for worthy song, but it might be. I mean, he's in there with some pretty amazing company.
That's true.
You can't. All of those bands are pretty good. I mean, Weezer, Kings of Leon, Paul McCartney, and Foo Fighters. If you're Wolfgang Van Halen and you're being mentioned amongst those other four bands, that's pretty successful. That's noteworthy in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
That is.
Mm-hmm. So
Good
how about
for him?
oh, of course. I mean, Dane. I mean, if either of us could ever get nominated for anything at all, that would be incredible. In the chat, who do you best rock song out of that list? What do you?
Well, I think
What do
there's
you
a lot of
think?
songs in there that have been overlooked.
I don't think I've heard any of that, any of those songs other than Wolfgang's Distance. I haven't
same
heard
with
any
me.
of that. I like Weezer though.
I like Weezer too.
And
Is that from their Van Weezer album? I'm
I
assuming.
can't imagine that
It
the
might be.
McCartney song would be something that I would be like, wow, I love the new McCartney song.
It's actually pretty fucking good.
Is it?
Yeah.
And the Foo Fighters song, I probably have heard the Foo Fighters song just, wherever, on the radio or wherever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I just want to say really quickly, I think this is I don't know how many Van Halen nerds are getting this reference, but I think it's just kind of cool that Billie Eilish is actually the one that announced that Wolfgang is getting the Grammy nomination, whereas when she was on Kimmel, she's the one that had no idea who Van Halen was.
Plus, there's
And now she knows.
something
Yeah.
somewhat attractive about Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish, something
Are they
about it.
dating? Is Wolfgang,
No,
is Wolfie
no.
dating her?
No. I just think that there's something about her that is very cool. I love the fact that she just doesn't give a shit. I think that, for what she does, she's very talented. I love the fact that she just doesn't, I love the lack of adherence to wanting to have to be placed in some sort of a box. I think there's something very attractive.
Well,
about that.
she's just going for the same image that the Ramones or the Sex Pistols or any of those bands were going for. The whole I don't give a shit about anything
Maybe.
kind of attitude.
I think that the fact that California Dreamin' from Dirty Honey was overlooked is a mistake. I think that there are, that's the problem is you've got this rock category, and in that rock category, Weezer, Kings of Leon, Mammoth WVH, Paul McCartney, and Foo Fighters. They're all distinctly different bands. And what will happen is Kings of Leon and Weezer will also be nominated for Best Pop Song and Best Alternative Song, and nominated in 4 or 5 different categories, which I think is unfair to certain artists. I think if you're nominated in one category, that's the category you're nominated in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least it's all guitar music. I don't know about the McCartney song. It could be a piano ballad, but at least it's guitar-driven music.
Yeah, but there's just so much. I think there's so much good rock that's being overlooked. But it is what it is. I I don't know that anybody, and it'll be interesting.
Mhm.
That rock Grammy will be given in awards presented earlier before the broadcast tonight, so that they can
When
make
is
room.
the Grammy show? When will we
Just
know
like
who
the
wins?
Song one. John Biel wins the Grammys.
And they'll be it's usually right after the Super Bowl. It's sometime in February. The sad part about it is they'll postpone the rock Grammy award presentation so that Pharrell can have another 4-minute pop medley on stage.
Oh, great.
No, Kai Matthews, I wouldn't say that Mammoth WVH is alternative rock at all.
Not even a
No,
little bit.
I don't think so.
No, Bruce points that Dirty Honey's been around for a couple of years. That's the thing that people, they put out their first record almost 3 years ago.
Now, the Foo Fighters started off as an alternative band. At least Nirvana was.
Foo Fighters was a one-man project in 1994. One man. Dave Grohl did all of it himself.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And Wolfgang he was inspired by that when he did the Mammoth WVH.
Yeah, I mean, there's people that have done that.
All him.
People have done that over the years. I mean, Steve Winwood has done it. Peter Gabriel has done it. Stevie Wonder did it. Paul McCartney has done it. I mean, there are a lot of unique solo artists that, Steven Wilson from Porcupine Tree, did it all himself in the beginning and then had to put a band around it because people started to ask, hey, let's see this band play. And that happened with Wolfgang as well. Wolfgang had to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm. That also happened with Nerd Halen. And hey, since we're talking about this, we might as well.
Daniel, wait a minute. Daniel Michael Charrier. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. Music doesn't have to have guitar. I would venture to say that Kraftwerk is phenomenal, and there's no guitars in any of their music. You don't have to have guitar for it to be good. I guarantee you. You tell me that Chopin is not real music. I mean, it's the guitar. No guitar nowadays is not true. That's just not true. There's guitar in a lot of bands. Now, are there guitar solos? Not really. But Dane and I were lamenting this fact the other day, that we were listening to a radio station here in town, and all the bands sound the same. That much I would agree. That sucks. That there's no unique individuality in bands. At least there was a difference between, you knew the difference between Motley Crue and Def Leppard. You knew the difference between Pearl Jam and Soundgarden. You knew the difference between Korn and Limp Bizkit. They may have had similar styles, but they had unique sounds. Now it's very, very similar, very, very much the same. I don't know if there's much difference between All That Remains and Avenged Sevenfold. They all kind of sound the same.
I mean, back in the day when you would listen to Aerosmith or something, you could hear the space between each note or each chord. It was, don, don, da, don, don, da, don, da, don, don. Now, when you listen to modern rock, it's one constant chord. You don't know if he's strumming it or not. It's just like.
Yeah, there's a lot of wall of sound. Daniel, you're wrong. Daniel, you're wrong. You can say you may not like the music, but they are talented. They are talented. It may not be your thing. But they're selling out. Tell me that that Rammstein has no talent. Tell me that Muse has no talent. That's not true. It's not
anybody that
Dan Donegan is a phenomenal guitar player from Disturbed. Fantastic guitar player.
Yeah.
Anybody
that's successful
guitar player in a new band over the past 30 years. Go ahead. Sorry, Johnny.
Anybody that's had any success to where you're hearing about them, there's a reason for that.
Yeah, talented musicians that have sold millions of records, they're talented for a reason. And people listen to all these. You could say, hey man, old guys like, let's just say Kenny Rogers, okay? Oh man, Kenny Rogers freaking sucks. But if Kenny Rogers was sitting right here next to me in my guitar shop and he had a guitar, he would sit there and play that guitar and he could bring you into emotional freaking ruins with how good he is sounding right now. If he was sitting in the room with you, Kenny Rogers could bring you to tears. He's that freaking good.
It's interesting. I'm just going to address this one more time because he's clearly just seeking attention. But Daniel, you're wrong. This is the music industry. It is about money. It's a business. If you want to make records and sell them for free, by all means, put the link to your YouTube channel in the chat, and we'll all listen to it. And I hope you like listening to the criticism. That's all. That's, you know, the industry is that the industry is what it is. Okay, it's you're have fun.
If Glenn Campbell was alive and he
That's
was
right,
sitting
Alex.
right here next to me in this guitar shop and kicked into a little Wichita lineman or something, he would bring you to tears. He is so good.
Dude, that
Those
would bring us
artists-
ratings. That would be the best show we've ever done. Yeah. Okay, so since we brought up the Grammys, let's just look at the rest of those, because there is more.
Great idea.
There is more of that. Best rock performance. You got AC/DC.
Oh my God.
See, that record's 2 years old now. I don't know that should be recognized right now. It's
Wow.
awful old. You're going to put that up against something that is
Shot in the dark.
that's brand new. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I
Well, what
love
does that-
Ozzy's Shot in the dark.
What does that mean, though? Does that mean it's been successful, or that means it's sold a lot, right? For it to be 2 years later and it's up for an award.
Yeah, I mean, you could release the single a year after, 18 months after the album is out, and it could get on the charts for this year.
Yeah, I mean, any record a year later is still and any release by any band is still new until the next one, right? If that makes sense. Like it still gets some sort of traction.
What's the next one on
What's
there?
the category? What's the category? Best rock performance?
Best rock performance. You
I
got
gotta
Shot in the
take care of
Dark.
my dog, and I have to take care of my dog. I'll be right back.
Okay.
AC/DC. You got Know You Better live from Capitol Studio A.
And who does that?
Black Pumas. Who I don't know who they are, but
Never heard of them.
but they're successful. See that?
Yes.
You got Nothing Compares to You, Chris Cornell.
The Prince tune.
The Prince tune that Sinead O'Connor.
That's probably cool.
So I would think.
What do you
that's
think
probably-
of Sinead's version of that?
That's the only version I've ever known.
Did you enjoy that version that you did, or did you hate that?
No, I thought it was great. You got Deftones, and you got Foo Fighters.
Ohms is the Deftones, and then Making a Fire, the Foo
Mhm.
Fighters.
In the chat, who would you say? I would say out of that list, I would say Chris Cornell. I would say Chris Cornell in that one. Myself.
I think the Foo Fighters might win both of those that we've seen so far, because the Foo Fighters are on fire right now. They win everything. They're probably the biggest band in the world right now when it comes to rock.
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah, I'm going to say that they sweep the Grammys.
And they perform on stage with somebody in the audience,
Or else
jumping up.
or else Wolfie gets up on stage with them. And they do Ain't Talking About Love.
That'd be cool,
Dun, 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 dun.
dude. I think you just called the ending of the show, man. That's probably what's going to happen.
I think so too. It seems like the Foo Fighters will just win them all.
Man.
Do you have another list?
Yeah.
How
Best
about
metal.
best male vocal?
I didn't see that one.
Here's a sign that I'm old. I don't know any of those songs.
I don't know.
For best metal performance.
Don't know
All
any of
right,
them.
here we go.
Yeah, I don't know any of those either.
Genesis. What's the band?
Deftones.
Okay.
Deftones. Dream Theater for the Alien.
Wow.
Gojira, Mastodon, and I can't read the last one.
Rob Zombie is the
Rob
last
Zombie.
one.
All right, well,
Ooh.
yes.
Zombie.
Foo Fighters. I think Foo Fighters is going to win this one.
Mastodon. What were the other guys?
Gojira and Dream
Gojira's
Theater.
Theater.
cool.
Where's Jay? Jay
I bet
Hannon, are you watching this?
Mastodon wins that one. I'm going Mastodon for that. Well, maybe not. What would you say is the most popular band that's been around the longest that's on that list?
Out of those
Dream
names?
Theater. They've been around since the 80s.
No,
Yeah,
Deftones.
but
Deftones
they're
is the
they're not
most
popular,
popular band on
though.
there. Yeah,
Rob
Deftones,
Zombie's
Rob
probably
Zombie.
the biggest name. Yeah.
Mastodon's great.
Yeah.
I mean, they're great. They're great bands. I just don't know any of those songs.
Right. It could be Rob Zombie.
Yeah, I'm just not in that. That's not my world anymore. I like
Mhm.
some metal, but I don't like a lot of that shit. I don't like
Mhm.
whispery vocals. I mean, Dream Theater is great, but it's, prog metal, and that's cool. Rob Zombie, stole his entire act from Zodiac Mind Warp. Mastodon is a cool band, but they don't do anything different. They just do what they do.
Yeah. Mastodon might win that. I saw him on Jimmy Kimmel or something. They've got that popularity.
Gojira is a good band. I mean, they all have big followings. There's no doubt that all of those bands have big followings.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice that the Grammys are recognizing legitimate metal bands as opposed to calling, AC/DC metal, which they're not.
Yeah. At least Ed Sheeran's not on that list.
Shred Sheeran. Let's see, and then I have one more list from this.
Nice.
Best rock album.
There's AC/DC again, right?
AC/DC, Power Up, Black
Well,
Pumas.
The Foo Fighters will win that.
Okay, there you go.
No, they just will because they're critical darlings. It'll
And
be
that
Foo Fighters.
new McCartney album. And then what's the Medicine at Midnight thing?
Foo Fighters.
Oh,
That's Foo Fighters.
yeah. The Foo Fighters are going to sweep.
They'll be sweep picking.
They'll be, yeah. They'll win at least 3 of those.
Mm-hmm.
Best song.
Although I heard
Best
Billie
rock
Eilish
album.
is nominated for like everything too in every category she's in, so she's going to win everything that she's nominated in as well.
I mean, the idea that AC/DC album was released last November, so it's still technically a new album. It's just about a year old.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's still new, and I actually never heard it, so it's new to me whenever I hear it.
Right, sure.
Right, Wayno? Never a swip.
Swip.
That's right.
Never a swip. Well, that was fun.
Yeah, and there's probably more to that.
Let's look at best country. Let's look at best country artist.
That's all I grabbed.
No,
that's all there was in that video. Although I will say, in the video where I took these cards from, that's Billie Eilish was reading these. In the comments for this YouTube video, every comment was congratulations, Billie Eilish, on your nominations. Like every comment was that. And I was the only one who said congratulations, Wolfgang, for your nomination. So maybe he'll see that. I would like to think.
Now, if you talk about streaming, and the new AC/DC album has streamed how many millions compared to the Foo Fighters album that has probably quadrupled that amount easily.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you think?
Streaming is I could go off on a rant for this for 20 minutes on streaming. I hate the fact that they rip off artists. That's why I always advocate you buy the record. Even though they're still ripping off the artist, they're ripping off the artist less. Streaming is, they don't compensate the artist. It's a bullshit thing. I don't necessarily want to pay for something that I don't physically own a copy of. You know what I mean? That's why I still have CDs and vinyl. If I buy music, I want to own the music.
Can you either of you guys hear the difference too in streaming and in either streaming or MP3 or CD?
Yes, I
Like
can. Yeah, compressed audio doesn't sound as good as uncompressed audio. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. I don't know myself. I mean, I'm just as happy downloading and paying for the songs off iTunes, rather than getting the CD these days. Well, it depends. You know, if it's something I'm really into, I'll get the CD. But I'm happy enough getting the iTunes version of stuff.
yeah, and that's fine as long as somebody's getting paid off of it. I just I want to make sure the artist is compensated. It is a business, and they do work their asses off. That's what they do for a living, and as weird as it will sound, and as name droppy as it will sound, I had a conversation in 1988 at 20 years old, face to face with Gene Simmons, and he laid down the music business for me, and he was absolutely right. It's a foregone conclusion that you love what you do if you're playing music for a living, and if you want to go out there and give your music away for free, that's fantastic. But free doesn't pay for rents. Free doesn't pay for big luxury cars. Free doesn't pay for my big house that I love. Free doesn't pay, for all the jets and the luxury and all the things. And if you're in the music business, you want to be paid and sell more than anybody else. And if you don't, get out and make room for those that do.
Hey, Mike Wood has those numbers we were looking at. AC/DC Shot in the Dark has 51 million listens. Foo Fighters Waiting on a War.
Yeah, but Foo Fighters record hasn't been out as long. How long has that Foo Fighters record been out, Mike?
Probably 2 weeks.
So that's streaming.
Mm-hmm.
That's streaming, not sales. But I would say it's the opposite. In sales, I'd say Foo Fighters has sold more.
Neither of those. See, here's the thing. Neither rock albums don't sell like they used to. There used to be a time, and we talked about this on Saturday night. There used to be a time when you sold 1 million records to get into the top 20. Now you can get into the top 3 by selling 12,000 albums. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Wow. So we have a chance.
We have a chance. Yeah. 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 Mike Wood, only a few months apart. A few months is a big difference. A few months can be 30 million streams. It really can. I mean, that's the weird part is if 1 million people stream a record once, there you go. I mean, it literally, so that Foo Fighters record will absolutely outsell and outstream the AC/DC record in the end.
Yeah.
Yes, I know.
And Billie Eilish will outstream all of them.
Yeah, that's fine.
In 1 hour.
I've said it before. Billie Eilish is doing it her way, and you can say she sucks, but unless one person has 30 million copies of her records in their basement, you're in the minority. I mean, somebody must like it. Somebody must like it.
Lemmy from Motorhead used to always joke that he had 10,000 copies in his garage of whatever album and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, sure. Corey Glover from Living Colour actually had the barcode for his solo album tattooed on his arm. And he used to joke about how he would go into record stores and just take the scanner. And hit his arm with it.
Get the sales up.
That's a good idea. I don't have any tattoos, but I think eventually, yeah.
Keith Campbell, it's corporate support from a radio station has nothing to do with the success of an artist. The artist actually, it's a symbiotic relationship. If you play music that the audience wants to hear on your radio station, then that benefits the artist. And if the artist plays your concert that your station is putting on, then it benefits the station. That's how business works. It's a partnership. And it doesn't matter. In the end, the consumer makes the rules. This is a consumer-driven business. You can't force music to be bought. U2 even tried to give it away for free, and people bitched about it.
That's right.
Oh, people were mad.
That U2 album.
Yeah. People were
At least
so mad about that stuff.
I mean, if it was a good album.
What do you think those U2 guys were telling each other? Hey, we're going to have this brand new iPhone come out. We're going to have your whole first album already downloaded in it. Where they can never get rid of that.
They looked at their bank account and said, how much did Apple pay us to do this? It's a business, man.
Yep.
It's a business.
And did you think they said to themselves, you know, the Edge is talking to Bono. Now, what's the worst thing that can happen with this? Well, we'll all have millions of dollars in the bank. Okay, fine.
That's the worst thing. That's the worst thing that can happen is people are still talking about it 6 years later about the fact that we jammed a song on an iPhone. Three idiots on YouTube are still talking about it.
Was it a song or was it the whole damn album?
The whole album.
It was an album.
Yep.
Yeah, and now people throw iPhones at them.
You know what, Bozique, young people must be tone deaf if she's that successful. Dude, fucking Bruce Springsteen can't sing. Don't tell me it's a tone deaf issue. Bruce Springsteen can't sing. Lemmy can't sing. James Hetfield can't sing. No fucking, it's got nothing to do with whether or not being tone deaf. People like what they like.
Yeah, think about it being 1984 and you go up to your grandfather and you say, Grandpa, listen to this brand new Van Halen album I got. Your grandpa would be like, boy, we'll send you off to boarding school or whatever, military school. What is wrong with you?
People like what they like. And there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah. And it's not even about tone. It could be the worst sound in the world. And if a million people like it, then you can't argue. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could, but especially down in the comments below on replay, please argue about all this.
But you know what? There's still our generation of music is still being heard because I was watching highlights of an ASU football game and you're hearing Running with the Devil in the background. The whole, of course, it's the Sun Devils. You're hearing Running with the Devil. So all those ASU students are getting exposed to Running with the Devil by Van Halen.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
you're watching Toyota commercials on television and Welcome to the Jungle's playing in the background. Yeah, it's still all over the place. It's not going to be this sudden thing where suddenly you don't hear any more 80s music anymore, or the stuff that we like. It's going to be around for a long time because it's great for commercials and everything.
Quentin James says rappers can't sing. Singers can't rap. Rap is a thing, man. It's a thing.
Hey, Roth could rap. David Lee Roth could rap.
If you listen to, if you ever sat down and listened to how Rakim from Eric B. and Rakim or Kumo D or KRS-One or Chuck D lays down his vocal line, that is as musical as anything Eddie Van Halen plays. That is music. Whether or not you like it is a different story. But it doesn't negate it. I would put Ice Cube's vocal ability as far as being able to write lyrics and deliver a melody line up against any vocalist in rock history. Those guys, they may not have the traditional, Robert Plant voice, but those guys have skills, and they can deliver.
Mm-hmm.
They can deliver. I mean, Eric B. and Rakim, EPMD. The Beastie Boys, those guys, and especially Rakim and Chuck D. Chuck D delivers a vocal line as good as any vocalist in rock history.
Yep.
You may not like it, but it's still a musical style. Just like some people don't believe scat singing is singing. Some people don't think country is singing. Some people don't think metal singers are singers. Some people will hear what Phil Anselmo does and go, well, that guy can't sing.
What do you think about Blondie's rap version on the...
Well, she was just copying Fab Five Freddy, who was a legitimate MC back in New York City back then.
Right.
You could a lot of these guys,
the whole thing about Subarus.
Just because you don't like the style doesn't negate the talent. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Rapture, that's what it was.
I mean, Eminem holy shit, Eminem, that guy can deliver lines. He's got a musical timing, a rhythmic timing that is John Bonham-like in its delivery.
Yeah, and
He
then
delivers
Eminem
his vocal
showed up.
lines. He delivers his lines like a rhythm track, and it's great, and it's skill, and not everybody could do it. If they could, it would be, that we'd be saturated with it, but not everybody is that good.
That's true. And yeah, like you said, it's skill.
Of course it is.
And
It's a rhythm.
If anybody's complaining about anything, hey, try it.
Yeah. Try to rap. Try to freestyle something right now. It's not as easy as you think it is.
Oh, I could never forget that, man. Freestyling. No.
And that's the other thing. That's the other thing. These guys, these hip hop artists, whether it's Eminem or whomever else we want to mention in that deal, they're writing phenomenally detailed, interesting, funny, poetic lyrics that only guys like Steven Tyler and Neil Peart and David Lee Roth, like their lyricism in hip hop, the lyricism in hip hop. Now, granted, there are some that are fucking awful. There are some of these guys that are terrible. There's no doubt about that. But when you get somebody like a Chuck D or like an LL Cool J, or an Eminem, or or a Dr. Dre, or a Snoop Dogg, Jesus Christ, man, those guys are writing phenomenal shit. You may not like the music style, but go and read it. It's excellent.
Snoop Dogg actually invented new words just because they rhymed, but we still kind of knew the meaning of that word, right?
Yeah, they do some amazing
like
shit.
For zizzle or whatever he used to say.
I enjoy well executed hip hop as much as I enjoy well executed metal, as much as I enjoy well executed jazz. Man, good music is good music. And Eminem's music is every bit as good as Van Halen's music was in that time period. It's a different style, but equally brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in the mood for it, man, there's nothing better than listening to something like the Police or the Specials, or Les Paul and Chet Atkins. I mean, there's music, great music knows no genre. You can hear a good song and you know it when you hear it. There's songs that there are artists that I can't stand, but they've written some phenomenal songs.
Right.
That's not true, Christopher Live Soa. Two Live Crew, everybody in their 70s is rocking it because those are the only people that know who it is. Two Live Crew came and went very fast. I own most of their shit, including Luke's solo record, Banned in the USA, which is brilliant.
I think Two Live Crew, I think they're in their 70s.
Yeah, James G. I am going to equate it to EVH. Eminem is as an MC what EVH is as a guitar player.
Right.
Yes, that's his thing. That's his
groundbreaking.
His way of delivering those vocals had never been seen or heard before. He changed the way it was done.
Right. He's an innovator for that genre.
And that is absolutely equal to what Eddie Van Halen does.
It didn't have to rhyme the last word of each sentence. He would rhyme a word after a word, and then he would do this, and then he would write, No,
it is absolutely the equivalent. That shit is good. That is shit. That's an amazing talent, amazing style. You may not like it, but it's every bit as groundbreaking. It changed the game. And again, unless one person has 70 million copies of that album in his basement, somebody else, the world has voted and you lost.
I think we should, all three of us should go out and buy like the worst record there is and just like hoard them.
I own it. I already own it.
And get
I own it. Gigi Allen's Freaks, Faggots, Drunks, and Junkies. I own the worst album ever recorded. It's awful.
Did he win a Grammy that year?
Around on stage.
No, it was awful. It's the worst record ever recorded. It's terrible. You can't possibly make it worse. It's not possible.
Playing it backwards?
No, playing it backwards actually improves it.
Because you actually hear the throw up going back in.
Yeah, because you can't understand it. The less you can understand Gigi Allen, the better he sounds.
It's like the sound of a backwards fart.
What was your favorite backwards moment on any record when you guys were kids and you'd take your finger on the needle and you'd roll it around backwards?
Ode to Cece by the Flaming Lips.
Really?
Yeah. There's Ode to Cece from the Flaming Lips has a backward bass part of it. And when you turn it backwards, and the album is on clear vinyl, it's a pain in the ass. And when you spin it backwards, it's it's Poison's Talk Dirty to Me playing in the background. And a guy going, hey mom, you fucked up when you raised me. I know, I'm sorry. It's really funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was just number nine or whatever. Yeah, turn me on, dead man. That's what it is. Turn me on, dead man.
Christopher Live Sawa, rap can be a culture and a talent, and why people buy it is beyond you. It outsells rock. So you've lost. You've lost that argument.
It outsells everything.
It outsells everything. Hip hop is phenomenal. It's a great culture. It's great music. And oh, by the way, it's where rock came from.
Here's what's interesting about that. I think it's
just another chant. It's another rhythmic chant that slaves sang back in the day that we all stole from them. It's black people taking their music back.
I think it's because lyric content in music is more important than any other facet of the music. It doesn't matter what your drum beat is. It's what you hear as far as lyric content that makes something meaningful. And that's why I think rap is at the top of the game right now.
There's no difference between what hip hop does today and what James Brown and Little Richard did, or Screamin' Jay Hawkins did back then. Sun House, all of that stuff, that blues stuff, if you speed it up or put a different drum beat behind it, it's hip hop. It's that rhythmic delivery of lyrics. And the idea that people can't fathom the idea that is a universal embracing. The brain reacts to certain rhythm and patterns in a specific way. We embrace it.
Or if you play it fast, it's Led Zeppelin.
Could be, yeah. I mean, Zeppelin absolutely stole rhythm and blues. Rhythm and blues.
They stole all that stuff.
Comes from.
Yeah.
Rhythm and blues is where it all comes from. Music, man, rock and roll was invented in Congo Square in New Orleans, Louisiana. It was fucking slaves singing to try and get their work done in a meter, man. And people don't want to get it. They don't want to go back and learn the history of what it was. And the idea that, and we go back to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, there is no difference between Subterranean Homesick Blues from Bob Dylan and Eminem's Lose Yourself. They're all a rhythmic vocal line. Johnny's in the basement working for the government. Here comes another. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Backstreet Lovin'. Yeah. You ain't seen nothing till you're down on a muffin. It's all hip hop. That's hip hop too. Walk This Way is hip hop.
Yeah.
Fucking Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It was 20 years ago today. Sgt. Pepper taught the band to play. That's fucking hip hop.
You could hip hop that. You could.
It's hip hop.
Uh-huh.
It's hip hop. Yes,
it's
James
singing
Brown
in rhymes. Singing in rhymes. Now there's a lot of music there. There's modern music that you try not to rhyme. There's bands out there, and that's the last thing they want to do is rhyme. Oh, you got too many rhymes going on.
No, but James Brown wasn't talking about beating the shit out of hoes, dealing dope, and busting a cap in someone's ass. He was doing it. He was doing all of those things. He didn't sing about it. He lived it. I would rather hear him sing about the sound of a funky drummer than hear stories about him beating the shit out of his women. Sorry.
Just like Eminem really did throw up his mom's spaghetti.
You what?
I said, just like Eminem really did throw up his mom's spaghetti.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Bo Diddley beat. The Bo Diddley beat. Yeah. That's fucking hip hop. Bo Diddley invented that beat. That beat that is the backbone of so many songs is hip hop. That's all hip hop. And just because it's been repackaged and presented by people with whom you don't have a whole lot in common culturally doesn't negate its impact. So, it's great. It's great for what it is. And great music transcends. I'm glad we have it all. We are fortunate that we have that wide a palette of music to draw
much.
from.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't like something, you don't have to like it.
Right. It was Nuclear Assault in their song Butt Fuck, where they did a blues breakdown in the middle of the song, and Wayno in the chat will know exactly where I'm going to go. And there's a breakdown in it where John Conley goes, "You don't have to listen if you don't want to hear it."
You know, it's kind of cool as far as music nowadays. People are living that. We're not hearing any fighting about music. I mean, back in the day, sometimes you would hear, people fighting about what style of music they like. Country guys would fight the metal guys or whatever. But there's
country guys just fought
issues
themselves
in the world right
country
now.
guys are fighting their
fight
sisters.
about music. And it's not happening. You don't see the news. Oh, we were at a country show and all these hip hop guys got in a fight. And people are not fighting about music, which is great.
That's because Tupac got shot, Biggie got shot, and people realized, oh shit, we should probably knock this shit up before we kill each other. That's why it stopped. It took the death of two major stars in that world to squash that beat.
Yeah, thank God that has stopped, because what a senseless thing to fight about.
Yep. Look, debating over music is great. It's like arguing over your favorite food or who's a hotter chick or whatever it is. That's great. Right. But guess what? I love the fact that we live in a world where I can have Chet Atkins, Limp Bizkit, and Sun House on the same rack and enjoy all three of them. We're fortunate that we have that. Music is a gift. All music is a gift. It really is. Whatever you love is great, and there's plenty of it for everybody.
Right. Yeah. And it costs the same amount of money for a poor person to live stream a song as it does the very richest person in the world. It costs the same amount of money for everybody.
It's great. I love music. That's why I have music. It is arguably my favorite thing in the world over everything. I've had relationships that have split up. And I've had the ex-girlfriend has said to me, "Man, you love your music more than you love me." And I said, "Probably." And then you came in with
"That's life."
No, she was furious about it. And I said, and I'll tell you why. Because it's always been there since I was this big, and it will be there until I draw my last breath, and it will never hurt me.
When you said this big, I just want you to know there was a John Mancuda joke in that. Because he's not here.
Mancuda was like, they need me. That's the beauty of it is it's always been there. No matter what you're doing in your world, music can either take you there or get you out of it. And and we've said this how many times on this show and on all the other shows, like what you like. And don't let anybody tell you that it's not worth a shit. Unless it's Mitch Malloy.
And if they do tell you it ain't worth a shit, you don't have to listen to them. You can like what you like.
Like what you like, man. And same thing with guitars.
Neander Paul walks in the store and says, "Why are you listening to that?" And I can be like, "Because I like it."
Yeah. I mean, it's clear that there's, as I've said before, unless there's, I own records that probably didn't sell 10,000 records. Hell, I own records that have never been officially released, like advance records and shit that I love listening to. I own records that nobody in the world likes but me, I imagine, because I got them as advance copies and I've never heard anybody talk about the band. On the other hand, there are albums that have sold millions that I couldn't give a shit less about. Allman Brothers live at the Fillmore East.
And if we went through G.G. Allen's entire catalog of songs and you open-mindedly gave it a listen, you would probably find a G.G. Allen song that you'd be like, "Oh, I guess it's okay."
Nope.
You're out on your Harley. Nope. G.G. Allen's kicking butt in your headphones.
Nope.
Come on.
Nope. G.G. Allen is talentless. Talentless. But that's the point.
What other bands in the world do you think? What big bands in the world do you think are completely talentless?
Nitro.
Huh?
Nitro. I thought Nitro was a joke.
Oh,
and
I
it
thought we were
was.
going back to Michael Nitro for a minute.
Man,
Okay,
you-
Nitro.
You said it, not me.
No. I thought you were doing
You
that.
said you.
No,
you
I like
said it.
Michael Nitro. He's
You
a
said
friend.
it. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think we have you on tape. When I said talentless, you went to Michael Nitro.
So, Nitro. That's because we were talking about him earlier.
Does he ever come in the store?
Yes, he does. Although he lives on the west side of town and I'm over east side.
And by the way, when you say east side, west side, it's not like a small town. We say east side of Phoenix. East side and west side of Phoenix are literally 80 miles apart.
Yeah, and there's about 5 million people between me and him.
And when you say because we make it sound like it's a small town. Phoenix is not a small town. But we say, I live on the east side. That's like, if you live in Mayberry, the east side, west side, and we meet on Main Street and never do you cross to the other side on the other side of the tracks. But in Phoenix, east side, west side, we still say it like it's a small town, but it's literally an hour and a half drive.
Yeah, and it is. It's a good drive to get over there.
Holy Barbarians was an interesting record, Timothy Lay. That's funny that you make mention of that. That was an interesting record.
Are we getting other guys that have bands that are totally no talent?
Well, I think that when no talent is your talent, I think that's what we're talking about. Gigi Allen. I think the Nitro record was deliberately put together based upon what I've heard from people. It was deliberately put together to see how stupid they could get and still get people to buy it. And the answer was fairly stupid. I mean, a couple of people bought it. That record didn't really sell, but some people bought it.
Mm-hmm. Well, they probably sold most of them themselves.
Yeah, if you put out a punk rock album in the 80s or the late 1978 or whenever it was, yeah, you would put them all out on your tour bus and take them around with you. And if you could sell 10,000 copies, you were probably kicking butt.
Dakota Barrett, yes, Kansas City is not a small town. I've lived there as well. Kansas City is an interesting place.
With a great football team. Football team.
No, they just got good over the past couple of years.
They're going to stay. I think they're going to be a contender, I think.
The biggest band to come out of Arizona would be Alice Cooper. Alice Cooper is the biggest artist, I think, that and Glenn Campbell, I guess.
Yeah, Glenn Campbell in 1967. Glenn Campbell sold more albums than the Beatles did in 1967.
Yeah, no, I mean, Arizona has a weird musical history. This is a weird town because we got great metal bands like Surgical Steel and Keel started here.
Icon,
and Flotsam and Jetsam.
Right.
And then we got some good sort of pop punk bands like Gin Blossoms and the Refreshments. Stevie Nicks is from here.
Right.
Alice Cooper. I mean, so there's a pretty interesting, the Tubes. There's a pretty interesting musical history in Arizona.
Right. The Tubes.
Yeah.
The Tubes. I was in a cover band with Bill Spooner from the Tubes for
I mean, there's an interesting, this is a weird place. Arizona's a weird place when it comes to music like that.
Linda Ronstadt is from there.
Northside Kings are from here.
Meat Puppets.
Meat Puppets, yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, there's some good bands.
Northside Kings are only somewhat popular. It's because that's the guy that punched Danzig.
Magic Man, don't forget Tesla. Tesla is the biggest selling band out of Sacramento. Deftones and Cake are good too, but Tesla is a pretty big band out of Sacramento. Hi, baby girl. What?
Neil just texted me and he says, "You have a booger hanging."
Oh, nice.
Thanks, Neil.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, that's what he said.
How can he see that?
It's a running theme.
Hi, baby girl. Hi, baby girl. A rare appearance of the waddling Lemmy.
Lemmy.
She's a good girl.
Man, I took my little dog, Mimsy, who's 14 years old, to the vet. What was that, 3-4 months ago? And had $2,000 worth of dental work done to her.
Good girl,
She's
Beanie.
doing so good. It like took 10 years off her life. She's running around. Just she feels so good. I'm
it's the other-
really
it-
glad I did that. At the time, I was a little bit.
I think it's
like,
the other way. It added 10 years. To
Yeah,
it.
added 10
It
years,
added
yeah.
10 years.
Not
It
taken away.
really did. Or it
Yeah,
took
'cause that
10
would be
years
bad.
off. Like she's 4 years old again. But it was a really good move.
Well,
on my
technically,
part.
all animals are like mentally 4 years old.
No, corn's from Bakersfield, Bruce. Bruce Poins is asking if corn is from Sacramento. They're actually from Bakersfield.
I thought corn was from Iowa.
There's, there's
Good one.
there are it's an interesting thing to think of, like, who's the biggest band from certain areas. I was spoiled growing up in Boston, because we had a lot of really good artists come out of Boston.
Aerosmith.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first one people think of, and then you forget Boston, and you forget, bands like Till Tuesday that were big in the 80s, and Extreme that was pretty big, and the Jay Giles band.
I was a Jay Giles fan. I like their
and
stuff.
yeah, there are a lot of bands that came out of that city that sneak in. Of course, Detroit will tell you that Jay Giles are from Detroit, but they're not. They're from Boston. Same thing with Alice Cooper. Yeah, he spent some time in Detroit, but he graduated from high school here in Arizona. You've got the Cars, also a fairly big band. So we thought growing up, when you grow up in a place and you've never been anywhere else as a kid, you think, well, every city must have a dozen great bands and a dozen great radio stations, and like you think life is like that everywhere in America. And then you get 2 hours west of your city and you realize you're in the Berkshires and you can hear the banjos. You look mighty cute. And you don't realize how good you have it when you're in certain cities.
All right, let's quiz Neander Paul a little bit. Name a city, and he'll tell us what the most popular bands from that city is.
Jesus, I don't know if I can do that.
Go ahead, Johnny. Give us a city.
I don't think I can do that.
Sure
I could probably name a band from that area, but
okay.
I don't know that I can. I don't know that I can name the best.
That's close enough. How about we'll do an easy one? No, I was going to say Seattle, but that's too easy. How about Denver?
We should be asking the chat.
That's a good idea.
Where
Okay, let's see.
cities
We've got
bands are
Newark.
Newark, what? Newark, New Jersey? Well, I mean, shit, man. I mean, half Skid Row are from that area.
Freaking Bon Jovi.
Well, Bon Jovi's from Sayreville.
Oh, Salt Lake City.
Utah.
Rapesny.
Band.
Jesus Rapesny.
A Salt Lake City band.
There was a good, remember the movie SLC Punk? How fun that one was? Do you guys remember that?
Never saw it. I know of it, though.
Cleveland, obviously, Drew, the Michael Stanley band. Woo!
Cleveland.
Sorry.
Vegas.
Well, Bristol, Tennessee is Nashville. Come on, Hellstorm.
Vegas, you got
the
Slaughter.
Osmonds from Salt Lake City. There you go.
The Osmonds, that's right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a tough game to play.
Denver is Hawk Attack.
Charleston, South Carolina, you got to go with Hootie and the Blowfish.
I'm sorry, hold on.
Oh, did he just mute? Oh, we don't know who that is.
It's probably for this.
San Diego, Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah. Unmute.
Okay.
Paul, this one's for you. Go ahead.
Do you know what town, and it's not Seattle, what town Hendrix is buried in? Because I used to live about 100 feet from his gravestone.
He's thinking. He's got his thinking cap on. You can see the wheels are turning.
It's not Bellevue, is it?
He's guessing Bellevue.
Is it Bellevue?
Renton.
Oh, Renton, yeah. Yeah, you're right. Renton.
You got another one for us?
Well, you were talking about, I heard you mention Seattle when this whole thing started, and I was living over there during the whole grunge era, so that was just a wild scene. But anyway, I just wanted to call and see if he knew that.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, no,
brother.
that's
See you,
interesting.
buddy.
Okay.
It's the thing that sucked about Hendrix is first of all, his real name is Johnny.
That's cool.
But secondly, Jimmy had to go. He had to go over to England to make it because at that time, can you imagine? I mean, Jimmy and Phil Lynott from Thin Lizzy had a very similar issue, and that is being an African American in a music style that is not traditionally African American. So they had to go to places like England where that was a little bit more tolerated back then. And hell, those sort of what's the word I'm looking for? I want to find a word that doesn't come across like it's racist. Expectations existed as late as 1988 with Living Color, when the record company wouldn't send out a promo shot of the band because they didn't want them to be viewed as a black rock band. That does happen.
That's weird.
Yeah, that does happen a lot.
That's weird.
So, and it's interesting, and I'll say this: Foo Fighters are better than Nirvana.
They are.
I know everybody talks about Nirvana, but I don't think that Kurt Cobain wrote songs as good as Dave Grohl has written over the past 30 years. Dave Grohl has written some pretty amazing friggin' songs. Plus, he's done the Probot project. He's jammed with a bunch of other people. And he's clearly an advocate for music overall, not just his style of music.
What about Nirvana's vocal delivery, though?
It's whiny.
Yeah, but it was really good where he would just say, hello, 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 over and over again. His repetitive phrasing that he did was really good.
Mm-hmm. If Nirvana would have had, if they would have had more, if they never would have went away, I think we would have gotten
Bozique
better stuff.
Bozique, my point being, Phil Lynott and Thin Lizzy never hit in the United States because he was a black Irishman. Because Thin Lizzy never really made it in the United States because in that period of time, there was no place for Jimmy. There was no place for Phil. Keep in mind, Jimi Hendrix never really had a moment in the United States. He played some theaters, and then he played Woodstock, and then he started to walk. Jimi Hendrix did exactly what Randy Rhoads was trying to do. And that was, he was like, fuck it. I'm not going to be this guitar hero pop star that you want me to be. I'm going to go do my own thing. And he put together Gypsy Sun and Rainbows, and he got together with Billy Cox and did his own thing and started doing this really experimental music and then ended up dead. Mm-hmm. But if Jimi Hendrix had lived, he would have gone off into a place that was nowhere near. Death was a great career move for him. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful. What I'm saying is it ended the legend before the legend could be completely written. Same thing happened with Randy Rhoads.
Uh-oh.
Your dogs just noticed you're getting a pizza delivered.
I'll be right back.
No, I think Wayne was talking about Nirvana, but just the way Kurt sang in his vocal delivery was really cool. And
I think it still is cool.
Yeah, it's super cool. And the way he sang was way different than how the Foo Fighters sings. He's sort of an average singer compared to Kurt Cobain.
Right. Yeah, but like what I was just saying,
as far as originality,
I think if Nirvana would have kept going, I think we would have gotten a lot more, and I think it would have branched out into different stuff. And who knows, maybe it would have become the Foo Fighters or a Foo Fighters style thing.
Yeah.
But it was a very like what Paul was just saying about Hendrix. I mean, it was a very short amount of time that we got from them.
Mm.
Right, Jay?
Jay's like, hey now.
Hey now. Jay, we're talking about Nirvana. Thrash Metal says no. I mean, look at
Dave
look-
Grohl is a great singer, but he's not like
there's no Dave Grohl.
yeah. Kurt Cobain started like a new thing, and Dave, you know, I don't know. Not sure what I'm trying to say there.
I think Dave Grohl, that he wasn't the original drummer, right? Wasn't there a
Yeah,
drummer?
he was.
He was?
Yeah. You
Well,
hear all
who's the-
those great drum riffs in Nirvana, and that's Dave.
No, I mean before him. Was there another guy before him before they made it big?
I don't know.
Was there somebody else? John Biel.
I
No,
don't
I
think
I,
John Biel was in the band.
I wish John Biel was in that band. But I think Grohl being in Nirvana, I mean, that was obviously his springboard to now being in the one of the biggest rock bands of
Yeah, and it was a
of now.
risk that he took to say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to play guitar and try to be the lead singer. Because usually that doesn't work out. When you're the drummer in a band, a very big band, you're always going to be a drummer. There's people now that don't even, they're huge Foo Fighter fans. They don't even realize that he was the drummer in Nirvana.
Hmm.
And I used to tell people 10 years ago, dude, he's the drummer. He's one of the most influential drummers pretty much in the world because of what he did with Nirvana. That's like putting Eddie Van Halen on a keyboard, is by putting that great drummer Dave Grohl on guitar. It's kind of the same thing. Why take a great drummer and put him up front? But he was able, Foo Fighters, he was able to replace himself on drums with a great drummer. What's the dude that's in the Foo Fighters?
Taylor Hawkins.
That's right. So he found a better drummer than himself. Or at least as good as.
Yeah, he stole him from Alanis, right?
Oh, really?
I
Who,
think
Taylor?
Yeah. Grohl took Hawkins from Alanis.
Yeah,
He was
Taylor Hawkins is a better drummer than Dave Grohl.
When have you ever heard that happen, really, where a drummer in a great band like that says, you know, let me just be the lead singer?
Genesis. Night Ranger. Triumph.
Well, for Night Ranger though, that I think he was always a lead singer.
I understand that, but it's been done. You know.
I have seen some brand new video of Night Ranger on the Kiss Cruise. And I saw some Black and Blue video on the latest Kiss Cruise where Tommy Thayer was playing with Black and Blue, which was kind of interesting.
I liked Black and Blue.
Was he dressed as Ace?
No.
Yeah, Keith Campbell. Keith Campbell, Don Henley, the Eagles. You know, their drummer was a pretty good lead singer.
Yeah, but
oh, by the way, just to finish my thought on Hendrix there, you know, all those records that we hear from Hendrix now, those live albums like Live at the Atlanta Pop Festival and Miami Pop Festival and all those festival shows that he played near the end of his life were not big albums. They were not considered to be released back then. They were only released obviously after his death to sort of capitalize on his legacy. But Jimmy was done. You know, his refusal to conform to what the industry wanted him to be was starting to become his quote unquote death knell from a professional standpoint. And when he passed, you know, a lot like Jim Morrison, man, was in a down point of his career. And so was Kurt Cobain. Nirvana was breaking up. Nirvana was on their way out when Kurt Cobain died.
I remember all the MTV news stories about Cobain having overdoses and just being like a mess.
Yeah, they were, you know, this was a great example. I think I've used the Kid Rock example before, but I'll use the Nirvana example. So Nevermind comes out, sells a bazillion records. In Utero comes out and quote unquote only sells like 4 or 5 million records only. And that's the difference between the record industry back then and the record industry today. The record industry today, if you sell 10,000 records, you're in the top 3. the record industry back then, if you only sold 5 million copies, it was considered a failure. That's such bullshit.
I like In Utero better than Nevermind.
I think All Apologies
Myself.
is the best song the band ever wrote. I think All Apologies is a fantastic song. It's the only song from that band that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Just a great song.
My favorite is Heart-Shaped Box.
Sure.
I can listen to that one over and over. Like that one never gets old.
Totally get it. Understand
me.
why.
Mhm.
Totally understand why people like it. Excuse me. Is Dane finally closed?
Maybe a pizza arrived.
Maybe. We're getting to the point where I'm going to have to tap out soon. I still have work to do.
Oh yeah. We were gonna do a dose tonight.
All right.
I mean, that's how these shows used to be, you know. Then they turned into 7-hour hogathons.
That's because somebody has to give you somebody has to give you the runaround about what their mom did this week. And yeah, no, Jimi Hendrix didn't get a lot of push from Reprise Records back in the day. Jimi Hendrix was not. He's a legend that exceeds the reality. He was not a huge star. He was a star on the rise. And he was, those who knew spoke of Jimi Hendrix, but he was not the Beatles or the Stones or the Who. He was on his way to being something very special. And only people like Dick Cavett, you know, who was sort of a voice of the counterculture. Remember the Dick Cavett show was in its day like what Letterman was in his day, or like maybe you know, Trevor Noah is today. It was sort of a counterculture thing that wasn't something that everybody paid attention to. And that's the unfortunate part, was that, yes, everybody wanted Jimi Hendrix to give him another Purple Haze and another Voodoo Child, another hit. And Jimmy didn't want to do another hit. And that was the same thing that Randy Rhoads wanted to do. And look, there are a lot of guys that don't want to do that, you know?
Yeah, that's a good one, man. Yeah,
that's my favorite band, Hogathon. That should be the name of our band, Jay. Hogathon.
Wow. Oh, wait. Huh? Dave who? Oh, Nirvana.
That's no, Dave Grohl writes his own songs. Dave Grohl is a better songwriter than Kurt Cobain. I know that's difficult for people to swallow, but he just is. Kurt Cobain was the right guy at the right time with the right song.
Can you sing it?
No, because we'll get flagged.
No, right time.
No. It's the right time.
That should have been a Nirvana song.
Yeah, maybe. The only reason
sometimes artists, when they're up and struggling, they have a notebook. They've got hours in the day. They're, you know, delivering pizzas or something. They're coming up with song lyrics. After you have a couple of huge albums, you don't do that anymore. You're buying new freaking drapes for your jet plane, and you know, you're throwing cocaine parties in Hollywood and stuff, and you don't have time to sit there and come up with these heartfelt lyrics of your strife and your struggle that you have. And
I think how that worked out.
Kurt Cobain would probably have never done another good album.
I think real artists, that's all they do is they sit in the back and they write.
That's what Springsteen does. It's what Mellencamp does. It's what Tom Petty did.
That's what Eddie Van Halen did.
Yeah, those you write when you
he
write.
always wrote. That's all he did. Always played.
No, Dave Grohl is absolutely a better songwriter than Kurt Cobain. Kurt Cobain. Here's why Nirvana, and this is a funny thing because people like to say that, you know, Nirvana was organic and it happened organically. No, Nirvana was signed to David Geffen's record company, and David Geffen saw what was happening with Jane's Addiction on Warner Brothers and said, I need a band that's like that, a band that fuses angst and fuses the dark side of music and the depressing side of what it's like to be a kid lost with no direction in his life. But I can't have the guitar player and the lead singer making out on stage, which is what Jane's Addiction was doing. Jane's Addiction kicked open the door that Nirvana benefited from. Nirvana had a blonde-haired, blue-eyed kid in a sweater who looked like he needed a hug, and the marketing department of Geffen Records behind them to make them the huge stars that they were. And if you don't think that's true, check out the fact that they had 2 more records before Nevermind came out that did absolutely nothing, whereas bands like Soundgarden got famous on Sub Pop before they got signed to A&M Records. Soundgarden was the first of the big 4 bands out of Seattle to get a major record deal. Soundgarden brought all the major record companies to Seattle in the late 80s, early 90s, actually mid 80s. Soundgarden got signed in like 86. So Nirvana wouldn't have had the attention that they got from DGC and the David Geffen Company had Soundgarden not brought all that attention to that new style, that new sound of music that fused all of the things that we love from Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and the Doors, and then gave it that dark side of what can only come from a place like Seattle, which is a very depressing place. But
now,
Jane's
Queensryche came from Seattle.
But Queensryche
What year was the Queen of the Reich album out?
84.
84. So was there any of those heavy metal artists that spawned because of Queensryche being up there?
Well, sure. There's a lot of prog metal bands. Dream Theater came because of Queensryche. Fate's Warning came because of Queensryche. Crimson Glory came because of Queensryche. Queensryche came because of Iron Maiden. I mean, there's that,
right.
that Iron Maiden had that technical prog side to what they were doing. But Jane's Addiction, again, going back to what I was saying about Nirvana, Jane's Addiction was the first band to bring that sort of heroin rock dark side to it. Them and Soundgarden in 86, 87 were the ones that really kicked the door open to that whole grunge, Seattle, depressing, anti-LA smile hairband music. And that's a product of talent being recognized by the music industry and exploited.
Yeah, because it was only like 2 years later where every, whatever it is at the mall, Forever 21 was selling out in the flannel, right?
Sure.
You'd go to the mall and everybody'd be dressing in flannel like 2 years later.
Well, that's because, you want to give that credit to the guys in those bands. That's just how they dressed up there in the Pacific Northwest, because it's a logging community. That's look, Neil Young dressed like that in the 60s, in the 70s.
Right.
Springsteen wore flannel in the 80s. So flannel is not a specifically Seattle invention. Right. Yeah, and there's another great band up in that area. The Melvins didn't get any credit that they should get. Sonic Youth doesn't get the credit that they should get. There are a bunch of bands up in that area that were very good that never got caught. Metal Church doesn't get anywhere near the credit that they deserve from being up in that area. They're from, I think they're from Aberdeen as well. So it's an interesting thing. Talent is one thing, timing is another, and having the machine behind you doesn't hurt either. Greta Van Fleet wouldn't be anything if it weren't for the fact that Jason Flom got behind them and said, "Hey, I think you guys have some talent and I think we can do something here." It's a machine. Very rarely, look, the Beatles didn't happen organically. They were a machine. Brian Epstein took them, sent them over to Germany to get their shit together before they were good, before you had a product that was tangible to be put in front of a record company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mudhoney, great band, thrash metal. Afghan Wigs are good. Screaming Trees were good. Alice in Chains was a hair band, and they realized, oh shit, the tide's turning. We better take the makeup off and get our hair down.
Yep.
So,
where was the Pantera guys from? What city were those guys from?
Well, they're from Texas, Dallas. Except for Anselmo's from New Orleans. Yeah, Dave, you're right. Jay Hannon says, there's nothing real about Foo Fighter songs, with the exception of something like Times Like These, which I think is a heartfelt song. I do. That's the thing. I don't feel Foo Fighters music. I get why people love it. I just don't feel it. It doesn't resonate with me. But again, they've sold like 30 million records, so somebody likes it. The interesting thing, yes, technically Arlington. Thanks, Fret Level Midnight. That's like, certain bands are, Aerosmith are technically from Lake Sunapee, New Hampshire, but we'll let it slide. You get the original Pantera was awful. When Terry Glaze was singing for them, they were terrible. Not good. Not at all. The first three albums are terrible.
I'll have to check that out. I've never heard that stuff.
Oh, it's not good.
Is it worse than C.G. Allen? G.G. Allen?
G.G. Allen? No, nothing is worse than G.G. Allen.
What about your thoughts on L7?
Not a fan.
I like L8 a little better.
Yeah, I thought L1 through L6 was great. They lost me at L6.
I like M8 better than.
Yeah, they they are again, it's not for me, but an L7 was a quick blip. That's the thing that's an interesting thing is when you sit back and you think of your opinion of a certain band and they come and they go and you go, well, I liked them. I guess I'm the only one.
Mm-hmm. At least somebody liked them.
Yeah, and good and more power to them, man. This again, going back to what we were saying a half hour ago, there's something for everyone, and God love it. I'm glad we have. Look, in some countries on this planet, they don't have the ability to sit here and debate whether or not Nirvana, Kurt Cobain is better than Dave Grohl because they've never heard either of them.
That's right. There's the drummer that tried to go out and play guitar and be a lead singer. Tommy Lee from Motley Crue tried that.
And it worked. That record sold.
Did it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, not Methods of he did it twice. He did it with a solo record called Never a Dull Moment, and then Methods of Mayhem. Those records both did okay.
Huh.
Not great, but okay.
Wow. Pretty cool.
Porno for Pyros was an interesting thing, Bozique. The first record was pretty good, but I think if you're gonna, anytime you get a side project, it's usually because it's watered down versions of music that the rest of your primary band wouldn't take. A Perfect Circle is a great example of it. Infectious Grooves is a great example of it, where that music.
Infectious Grooves are in the house.
Yeah, Infectious Grooves was great, but it doesn't fit in the mold of Suicidal Tendencies. So you got to put together a side project. Usually, it's not as good. Very few side projects are better than the primary project.
Mm-hmm.
Ozzy sang on an Infectious Grooves song, which
Therapy.
I remember back in the day. Therapy, yeah, that was a lot of fun.
Yep. Well, Irate at Vistalite. Are you talking about Irate, Newstead side project, or Newstead, the band Newstead? Because Irate was the reason why he got kicked out of or had to quit Metallica, because James didn't want you doing any outside things, kind of like with David Lee Roth and Van Halen. If you belong to a certain team or a certain club, or you work at a certain company, you don't work for another company. You work for that company. Unfortunately,
moonlighting.
Unfortunately, what happened in that situation was James and Lars were not open to Jason bringing in music, which is ironic because Cliff wrote all the best stuff that Metallica ever recorded. So.
Well, Newstead, he actually had
Echo
a side.
Brain. You're thinking of Echo Brain.
Echo Brain.
Yeah.
He had a side project going when I lived 10 years ago, when I lived up in Walnut Creek, California. Newstead had a band called Papa Wheelie.
Oh yeah.
And they played all over Walnut Creek.
Sure.
And actually a good buddy of mine, Dave Lopez, was actually in Newstead's band for a while at his studio. He had a place called the Chop House.
There's another great band from up in that area, Dublin Death Patrol, which is like an all-star group of like the guys from Testament and like all those Bay Area thrash guys.
From Dublin, I guess.
Yeah. Dublin Death Patrol.
And Alameda had the Alameda All-Stars, where Brad Gillis from Night Ranger was a part of that.
Yeah. No, that's the beauty is music, man. When you get a bunch of talented guys together, or even untalented guys together, and they put together something that causes
like
people's
this.
heads to, like this, causes people's heads to bob. That's not true. Blackened is not better than Master of Puppets, Jay, and you know it.
Speaking of that, tomorrow night is actually Metal Wednesday, so they can actually discuss that
Let them
topic
fight it out tomorrow night.
tomorrow. Boner jams and sorry, Jay, I had to delete your card.
Why did you have to delete his card?
Because you only get so many cards that you can actually show. Here, I'll re-upload
So you had to make room for another one for yours, right?
I had to, yeah.
Yeah.
I had to make
Metal
room.
Wednesday.
I had to make room for all
for
the
those.
Billie Eilish faces today that we got.
Awful.
So there you go. Metal Wednesday tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific. Tomorrow's topic: Newstead writing Metallica riffs, probably.
Newstead brought some great shit to Metallica.
And he sang a harmony part that they never had before. Like Wherever I May Roam. That was a good tune that had that Jason singing a nice little harmony in there.
What are you talking about, thrash metal? I think I talked about loving Billie Eilish early in the show. Didn't I talk about? I did. I thought I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was pretty clear about it. I would absolutely jam with Billie. I don't know if you've ever seen her underneath that sweatshirt. Holy shit.
I mean, there's something to be said about having sex with a girl that's mad, like really mad at the world.
Yeah, hate sex is great. Hate sex can be awesome, yeah. I don't know why we got here, where we got here, but
Billie English or whatever her name is.
I think we're,
Eilish.
I think we're done. Or
Yeah.
at least I'm done.
Zims, was that the one you already showed, or he said he had a guitar to show?
Who has a guitar?
Yeah,
Zim.
I'll show you the guitar. Paul, you can help me out. Give me 5 more minutes and then we'll say good night to everybody.
Oh, this is a guitar that he traded for today. He got somebody sold him a 2021 Gibson Les Paul Gold Top.
Wait, don't show it.
Standard Gold Top.
Okay, there it is. That's an Ibanez, isn't it?
Nope.
Oh, music. Oh. Saber? Oh, wow. Yeah. To me, it looked like an Ibanez Roadster for a second.
Very similar, yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, baked maple bullseye, big maple neck, bird's eye. It's beautiful.
Can we do the thumbnail?
Well, technically, yes. Okay, this will be the
I'll
thumbnail.
put a pink hat on.
Dane, you're a star, man. Okay. All right, let me grab it. Hang on. Okay, you got to hold it like straight. Hold it to where.
And then you have to drop it. You have to drop it after that, like Mancuda would.
Yeah. Hang on. Why does the commercial keep playing? I can't. Well, crap.
So I'm.
Oh, that's the promo. That's why.
I'm gonna take the dogs out. You guys have fun. Later.
See ya.
Later, Paul.
He's gone.
Happy Thanksgiving, Paul.
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. All right. Got it. All right. There's the thumbnail. There's the thumbnail for today's video. Yeah, that looks like a nice guitar, man.
It really is. Retail, these things are like $3,400.
Oh my gosh.
And now the Les Paul that I had retail is like $2,600. So, it was a couple $100 improvement on what I had, but it's kind of harder to sell this than it is a Les Paul standard.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a little risk involved. But it's a regular customer that comes in here, like you were saying. You get follow-up customers all the time. And so he was a regular that comes in here that traded this in. And it's going to be harder to sell than the Les Paul. But he says, I said, can you sweeten the pot a little bit? And he goes, dude, I'll buy a whole bunch of pedals from you. So he bought like almost $500 worth of pedals from me.
Wow.
And then we did the trade on this guitar.
Man, that's...
But it's a Fender scale length. And it's got that thin, modern C-shaped neck.
It has that acoustic tone, unplugged.
Yeah, very beautiful guitar.
Can you play
Might
some
do a
Billie
YouTube
Eilish for
video
us?
about it tomorrow. But just the neck on this thing, the wood, look at that. Right? Look at that neck. Flame tiger stripe kind of thing, right? And even on the front of the headstock. Really cool looking. So
Yeah. And that's US?
it absolutely is.
That's
They make
where-
the Sterlings you know,
Some
over
of-
in Indonesia or Korea or somewhere. But
Yeah.
this is right here in Southern California where this one was made.
San Luis Obispo.
That's right.
That's exactly where that is. Billie Eilish, Belly Aches is a nice song to play acoustic. Only 3 chords. 3 easy chords? Okay. There it is.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for having me, Johnny. I'm going to log out too.
Yeah, we're out of
Just
here.
because
Thank
I've
you.
been at the store since about 11 o'clock this morning. So
10
I've
o'clock
been
my
here.
time.
I've done my 8-9 hours down here today.
Very
Time
nice,
to go
man.
home.
Very good. Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you for
And,
having me. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. I got a turkey in my refrigerator. I have to defrost it tomorrow.
Are you going to get up at 4 in the morning?
No, I don't get up that early. I'll put it in at like probably 8. And because we don't have to eat at noon. We eat at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon.
Yeah. Is tomorrow Thanksgiving? No, the next
No,
day
it's
is.
Thursday. Yeah.
It's the next day.
So tomorrow's defrost the turkey day.
Tomorrow's defrost day. And it's also Metal Wednesday. So make sure you guys come back tomorrow. 6 p.m. Pacific, I'm hearing. I guess I put it for 5. So 9 o'clock Eastern. Metal Wednesday. And if you're brand new to the channel, you'll notice here on, if you're watching from desktop, I don't think the screen is big enough on your phone. You'll see a QR code on the top right. Scan that open up the camera on your phone, and that'll take you right to the channel, and you can subscribe today. All right. Who just allowed that? Or it must have been Jay. All right. All right. Rock on, everybody. Channel members, you guys, thank you so much for all your support. And this week, I don't celebrate Thanksgiving, so I'll actually be changing these cards on Thanksgiving Day. That's what I'll be doing. I'll be making brand new cards, as I've been saying I would do. So thank you so much, channel members. And we'll see you guys tomorrow night for Metal Wednesday. Smash that thumbs up. All right. Good night, Dane.
Thank you for having me, Johnny.
Anytime, man. Anytime. All right. And watch me on Twitch later. Johnny Beane TV. Good night.